Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about something a little bit weird. Someone found a Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Demake for the Nintendo DS. I am not joking with you, and is it good? I am not joking with you when I say probably not. It looks like you can walk around, I don't see weapons, I don't see enemies, I don't really see a whole lot of anything else. But just the fact that this exists is very interesting. So the story behind this is that this person had some sort of Nintendo DS flash cart, and on that flash cart was a file called BOTW DS.NDS. They clicked on it, opened it up, and, well, played The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on Nintendo DS. Now, I'm not certain if this ROM is available anywhere else here, if this is strictly unique to this flash cart. Now, if you are curious about this one and wanted to learn more about it, there's a YouTube video up, and like everything I talk about, link will be in the description below right at the bottom. It does appear that this game exists somewhere, and it does appear that there are no enemies. It's more or less just a world explorer. But at the same time, this is super interesting, and we've got Breath of the Wild on the DS before GTA 6. Next up, we're talking about Ubisoft, and in an interesting turn of events here, in Milan, the office went on strike. Now, this is being talked about quite a bit by a number of different news outlets, and it turns out that it all started out in France, with about 700 people going on strike due to a 3-day return to office policy. And in Italy here, they struck in solidarity. Now, this is just one of the things that's been troubling Ubisoft in the press lately. I mean, the company has faced pressure to go private from a number of shareholders. And it's not necessarily a good look, at least in my opinion here. Now, I've seen a number of different takes about this whole return to office bit. I've seen some people say, you know what, they should just suck it up and go on those 3 days a week. Not everybody has that luxury. And some people are saying, you know what, if they don't like it, they should just quit. Why are they whining about going into the office and having a job? And some people are saying it's Ubisoft who is trying to get people to leave the company by making it a little less ideal to work there instead of having to fire people. Now, in my opinion here, and this one may be unpopular, the people who may end up leaving the company are the people who have those skills, who are hireable and are very good employees. And the people who end up staying may be the people the company can't get rid of, and you may end up lowering your talent pool overall. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I might not be. But we'll see what happens here. It is unionized, so it's not like a few people can leave and a few people are going to stay, and we'll see what happens. It's either everybody or nobody. Well, let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. What do you think here is going to happen with the future of Ubisoft? Do you think it's going to go public? Do you think the union here was a good idea to protect employees? And what do you think about the updated 3-day return to office for Ubisoft and people being upset about it? Do you think it's justified? Next up here, we're talking about Sonic X Shadow Generations, and this game has leaked early. It's not supposed to release until October 25th, but some people already have their hands on it. And it turns out that this game already works on Switch emulators. People have reported it working on Yuzu and Ryujinx and also Sudachi. I'm very curious about this one because I think Nintendo's argument was that Yuzu and Ryujinx were working on these things in the background on leaked copies, on pirated copies in order to make the emulators work. But it turns out that this game works on the emulator without any updates. Mind you, it is worth pointing out that this person says the shadow portion of the game is unplayable and does crash, so there's that. Now, if you are trying to avoid spoilers for this, you may not want to check YouTube as a lot of people are posting footage of this game in action. But moving on, and next up we're talking about Snapdragon, specifically the Snapdragon 8 Gen 4, or as it's now known as the Snapdragon 8 Elite. And I think Elite is a very fitting name for this thing. I mean, right now it's a performance beast. Over on Antutu, its scores are huge. It's beating out the Apple A18 Pro. It's worth pointing out that it's not narrowly beating the Apple A18 Pro. It is crushing it, almost double in terms of the overall score here. I mean, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 4 got a score of 3,025,991 versus the Apple A18 of 1.65 million. So there is quite a bit of a difference here. Now, I will say you shouldn't be surprised about that because the existing Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 also beat the Apple A18 Pro. I mean, the existing score for the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 on Antutu is 2.06 million, which is well above the 1.65 million for the A18 Pro. So looking at the 8 Gen 4 or the 8 Elite now, Well, it's about 33% better on Antutu than the existing chip, which I find impressive. The closest thing to the upcoming Snapdragon 8 Elite is the existing Dimensity 9400, and that one has an Antutu score of 2.8 million. So taking a look overall here, obviously the Snapdragon will have the better GPU drivers for emulation, but at the same time here, performance for mobile devices is getting very good. Next up, we're talking about the upcoming Squadron 42. Now this game back in 2023 was reported as feature complete and just needing some polish. And now the game has been pushed back until 2026. Now, if you've been waiting for this game to release, you've been waiting quite a bit, and what's waiting just a few more years? They're saying here that this game is going to miss its original target by 11 years. Fortunately, they have released some footage of the game as well as a brand new trailer here, and you can take a look at that right on YouTube. Again, link in the description below. And the game does look pretty good, at least based on the trailer. To be specific about the gameplay trailer, it's 1 hour and 16 minutes in length, and it'll give you a good idea of what this game is shaping up to be. Now, I would say that this game, well, has a lot of cinematic scenes to it, and maybe this hour was cherry-picked for specific reasons. But it does look good. I'm just wondering, when this game releases, are things going to look outdated? I mean, being in development for 11 or so years here, I'm just wondering if there are elements of this game that are going to feel old by the time it's actually released. I took a quick peek at the comments on the trailer, and they're generally positive. There are some people poking fun at the release date. Someone here says GTA 6 will land before this does. And looking at the comments on the gameplay here, and I'm surprised, they're all very positive. A lot of people seem to be happy that this game is not just smoke and mirrors, and a lot of people seem to be looking forward to it. If you're looking forward to the game, let me know your thoughts about the gameplay and the trailer in the comments below. And speaking about looking pretty good, next up here we're talking about a portable Xbox, the original Xbox. And someone has decided to make the original Xbox a handheld, and it does look pretty good, especially for a homebrew solution here. The parts seem to line up very well. The overall concept to me makes a lot of sense. And let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. I'm just looking at it and wow, I'm impressed by it. The big drawback I can kind of see here is the fact that the system really isn't that pocket friendly. I mean, it's a handheld, but I wouldn't really say it's overly portable. I mean, it's absolutely huge. It's bigger than the actual case for the Xbox, at least wider than it. But at the same time here, overall, I'm still impressed. And I mean, having a 9-inch screen probably isn't too bad either. And if you want to see more of this, the creator of the handheld has a video or two up on YouTube, and I'm assuming there's going to be more as time rolls on here. And seeing this in action, to me, the whole thing just makes so much sense. If you're a fan of the Xbox, let me know if you'd want one of these in the comments below. Next up here, if you're a fan of the Nintendo Switch and you signed up for the Nintendo Switch Online Playtest and you got in and you wanted to avoid spoilers, you'll probably want to avoid this section. But anyways here, if you wanted to know what the program entailed, a lot of people are posting a lot of information online about it. In fact, there's a full video on Twitter here of all of the website. The playtest begins on October 23rd, so just in a few days here, and the software size is 2.2 gigs. I'm assuming once that playtest starts, we're going to know a whole lot more about the game. We're going to see videos of it in action and even more. It's reported that this is some sort of sim game where you build up or develop a planet, go for resources, there's enemies, and even more stuff in a multiplayer setting. But we're going to find out very shortly, I'm assuming. And speaking about finding out about stuff shortly, next up here we're talking about Mario and Luigi Brothership. Now this game is not set to release until November 7th, so in a couple of weeks here. But copies of the game are reportedly already out in the public. I'm assuming there's going to be YouTube videos on gameplay as well, and I'm assuming that this game already works on Yuzu, Ryujin, Sudachi, and others. And speaking about games that haven't released yet, next up we're talking about Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert is an open-world action-adventure game set to release in 2025. A lot of people seem to be very excited about this game. A lot of people are still talking about it. And apparently here, PlayStation tried to make this a PS5 exclusive, at least a PS5 timed exclusive. There's an article that states that Sony wanted to make Crimson Desert a timed exclusive for PS5, but the developer Pearl Abyss said no. And I think that's a good move from Pearl Abyss, because having this as a timed exclusive I think would really impact sales overall. I think a lot of people are excited about this game, and I think the PC player base might be more than the PS5 player base. Now, unfortunately, I don't know the full details of the exclusivity agreement. I don't know how long it was supposed to be exclusive for. I don't know how much money they offered. And I don't know if it was supposed to be exclusive to consoles only for PS5, but would be allowed on PC, just not on Xbox. I would think that if it wasn't just allowed on Xbox and was allowed everywhere else, it wouldn't be that much of a financial hit to the company. But at the same time here, I do think the PC player base is the big one. Now, let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. I'm a little bit confused by this, as Sony went to court against Microsoft, saying that Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard would be monopolistic, and they were also worried about exclusivities and all of that regarding Call of Duty. But here they are on the other hand, talking about exclusivities and trying to make games exclusive. Next up, we're talking about the upcoming OnePlus 13. And if you're interested in this phone, it just got a launch date. It will be launching on October 31st. There are going to be 3 colors here: blue, black, and white. And there is the design. It's powered by a Snapdragon 8 Gen 4 or a Snapdragon 8 Elite. Unfortunately, the October 31st launch date is for China, and I don't have a global launch date for you just yet. But this is one to pay attention to if you're interested in OnePlus and we're looking at picking up a new phone. And speaking about launching in China, next up here we're talking about the upcoming Samsung Z Fold Special Edition, or Z Fold depending on where you are. Now, this one is only launching in Korea and in China and will not be launching globally. It will be a little bit smaller than the existing Z Fold 6. And apparently it will be a little bit more expensive. My understanding, this will be powered by a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, and the camera has been changed from a 50 megapixel camera to a 200 megapixel main camera. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Are you disappointed this phone isn't being launched globally? But next up, we're talking about N64 emulation with M64Py. Now, M64Py is an N64 emulator. It's a front end from Ubisoft 64+. It's written in Python, and it just got a brand new update, and one you may be interested in if you're on Linux. So at the time of filming, the latest update here to M64Py or M64Py or subscribe to Mr. Sujano is version 0.3.0. They've upgraded to Qt6 here. They've introduced WLAN support, which is big for Linux. They've added an option to pause the emulator when the focus is lost, and even more. And last up here, we're talking about the IKKO Activebuds, and Marcel over on X says exploiting the IKKO Activebuds AI-powered earbuds, running Doom, stealing their OpenAI API key and customer data. So Marcel has a very interesting blog post, which I do recommend checking out, and again, like everything I talk about, link will be right in the description below. His journey on this one started after he saw these earbuds on a Mr. Who's the Boss video and also in various TikToks. These earbuds are not cheap. They're coming in at €245. The deep dive on this device is crazy. It connects directly to OpenAI. The apps appear to be completely ripped off apcure.com, and there's even more in it. Marcel noticed a whole bunch of security issues with the device, as well as being able to figure out the chat history of all customers, which in the wrong hands could be devastating. Now, from my understanding, Marcel sent an email with all of his concerns to their security department, and he got an email reply back with them offering to sponsor his YouTube channel. So I'm wondering here if they even care, or if a lot of people talking about these headphones are just sponsored, because having a sponsor request from an email sent to a security department is very weird. So if you have these earbuds, or if you're thinking about buying them, you may want to check out this blog post for some very in-depth information, and it may change your opinion on it. I am highly concerned after reading what's in here. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and the legendary one fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.